that I told you, if you're a member of my Facebook group, that I have been away with a couple of friends, and about once a year we hire a static caravan on a mobile home site, and we go out and we go charity shopping by day and crafting by night. So I thought you'd like to see some of the lovely bits and pieces I've picked up over the weekend. And the majority of these pieces have come from Hastings Old Town. And there are lots of vintage shops, antique shops going up the old high street. But if you are more of a charity shop fan, you'll want to look back at the video I made a couple of years ago when we went to Hastings and pretty much went round all, 15 of the charity shops in Hastings town centre proper, the modern bit of Hastings. So shall we get going? So what I will do is I will leave a link to the Hastings charity shop video in the description under this one. But let's get started first of all. So we were blessed with the most amazing, beautiful autumn days, although we were in the midst of Storm Amy, so it was quite rocky in the caravan at night. And on Sunday morning we got up, beautiful blue skies and sunshine, a lovely autumnal day, and walked down the old high street. So I picked up this lovely little glass goblet, no price on it, but when I asked, it was 50p. Now my intention is, once I've washed it up, is to use this as a pen pot on my desk. And this came from a shop called Robert's Rummage, and did exactly what it said on the shop front. There was a side passageway stacked up with things that sometimes, the buckets of things that are only 10p each, 50 each, p each, a pound each. And inside the shop there was absolutely no room to move, with a sign saying no photographs and no videos. But unfortunately I didn't see that until I'd taken a few photographs. And if you're interested in finding out what the shop looked like inside, you need to check out my Facebook group, which is Flower Start World. And again, there's a link to that in the description underneath the video. Next, in the same shop, I came across a stack of blue and white crockery. So if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I like blue and white crockery. I've been through my sort of willow pattern phase. I don't actually like the willow pattern. I prefer the patterns that have more of a rural British scene to them, and I like the florals as well. But I will say my tastes have changed slightly over time, and that's the beauty when you go thrifting. If you paid charity shop prices and car boot fair prices, you can use and enjoy what you've got and then pass it on when your tastes change. And in fact, some of my blue and white plates, I used to use them when we had catering for friends and family coming around in the summertime, and I'd use them out on my patio table because I wasn't too bothered about them getting chipped or broken. And some of the more special ones I put on those little plastic hooks on the back with the yellow pad that's sticky and the little hook that comes out, rather than those grabby ony stretchy metal frames which can cause damage to the lip of your crockery. So I thought this fitted in quite well with the look. And you'll remember from my last thrift haul, I showed you some similar crockery, or sort of inspired by crockery, some from IKEA and some with the Nordic Danish patterns. And when we turn this over, we can see that this is a Johnson Brothers piece, quite a modern back stamp there. And the pattern is called Indies Blue. So they were a whopping £1 each. So £4.50 spent at Robert's Rummage. And then I think this shop was called Green Street Vintage. So you come down the high street. We parked at the top of the hill. We couldn't get any closer because loads of roads were closed. There was the Hastings Marathon was being held. So we parked at the top of the hill, walked down and followed the high street, which is a mix of residential properties and vintage markets. And then we turned right into what I'm guessing is called Green Street, if the vintage shop was called Green Street Vintage. And there were loads of eateries down there. In fact, as we turned the corner, it looked like we had walked into a French market. There were outdoor cafes, outdoor seating, tables set with flowers. It was absolutely beautiful. And we stopped there for lunch, and then went on and had a cup of tea and a slice of cake in the afternoon. So you can recognise this pattern, can you? It's both saucers cost me £2. I chose them because they're slightly different sizes, so I'm not going to use these as saucers. I like using them to put my fruit and vegetables in. So normally on this kitchen counter, we've got a fruit bowl. If I look over to the side where I've cleared bits and pieces away, I've got a similar spode bowl with tomatoes in it, another one with quince, it's quince season, and another deeper bowl with cooking apples, which I've been given by a friend. So this is to add to my collection of little bits of spode to enjoy, and elevate my everyday, in the words of Lady Mary Beth. So if you don't already watch her channel, do make sure you check it out. She's always great value for money. And you can see here quite a modern piece with modern back stamp, spode, Italian, it's called there. And the slightly larger one with a slightly older back stamp, spode also. So really pleased to have those, and I was pleased about the price. Obviously they were antique shops and vintage shops, so the prices can be a lot more expensive than if you're used to car booting or going to the charity shop, but I thought at £2 each they were great value. And in the same shop I saw a little display at the front with some costume jewellery, and I paid £1 each. If I'd gone to the charity shop, actually some of the charity shops this might have been more expensive, £5 each I've seen costume jewellery going for, but if I was at the car boot fair I might have paid 10 or 20p each, but I was quite happy with what I got. So first of all, this little piece here, it sort of looks a bit like marguerite. My mum had lots of marguerite jewellery at one time, and I've turned it over and it's got a clip there. So whether that is something that you would put on the front of a shoe or tuck into your blouse, I'm not entirely sure. And can you guess what I'm going to be using these for? I'm sure you can if you've watched my last few videos. So a little brooch there with diamonds and pearls in it. Obviously they're not diamonds and they're not pearls, and a little brooch there as well with a pearl in the middle. So the reason I selected these was because they were all silvery and diamond like, and I thought they would be just what I need to finish off my brooch wreath. So I've shown you this to you before, and I have talked about how it looks a little bit lifeless where I added on the bow. In real life, it doesn't look quite so unbalanced as it does if I take a photograph or show you on the video, but it's where I've done this bow here with the central dark stone in the middle, it just sort of gives a recessive look. So if I hold that away, the things that show up best are the lots of glittery things. So I did think that I would be able to perhaps put some of these smaller pieces tucked partially under the tails and bows of my ribbon, just to complete the look a little bit. And you can see there exactly what I mean. I won't be able to lift it up because it's going to all fall off. But when I'm finished filming, I will take a photograph, and again, I'll post it in the Facebook group if you'd like to see my progress. And the Facebook group is a group not just about me sharing my thrifted finds and what I've been up to. It's for all the members to show what they've been thrifting, what they've been crafting, and getting from the charity shop, because we all like sharing the excitement of what everyone else in the group has been up to. Now, I've also got some lovely books. I'm going to show you this one first. So spoiler alert, this wasn't anything I bought in Hastings. I bought this from a charity shop in Dover. I had seen an armchair on their Facebook page and I rushed down to Dover one Saturday morning to go and find the armchair, but sadly it had been sold. But I had a look around the charity shop and I came across this book, and I do like a book that's about tablescapes, setting tables, because it sort of combines my interest of entertaining and flower arranging and buying things from the charity shop. I'm just going to move that glass so I don't bash it. But this book cost me £1, and I was so pleased with it. It did have a little sign saying you can carry a bag up with books for £5, so I wasn't sure how much it was going to be. The original cover price was £30, and it's quite similar to a couple of the books I've shown you before that I've got from Rochester recently. So just absolutely coffee table book. Looking at the designs, I'm going to have lots of fun reading all the background. It's got that right mix of flowers and perhaps things I can be looking out for on the charity shop. I'll see if I can find this book online and post a link to it in case you're interested in having a closer look too. Now the other book, so I got this one, and it is by Caroline Clifton Mogg. I've just remembered now, I didn't get Caroline Clifton Mogg's last book from Rochester. I bought it when I went to an antique shop on our way to Appledore for the Flower Festival at the August Bank Holiday weekend. And I picked up a book, and that was all about, it was called Choosing Glassware and China, and that was all about table settings. So I sort of going down a bit of a Caroline Clifton Mogg mouse hole, no bad thing, I will say. And this book here, The Comforts of Home by Caroline Clifton Mogg, is one that I bought off Vinted. So I think it was £2 off Vinted. The good thing about Vinted, if you're a seller, is you get the full price of the item you're selling. But the downside, if there is one for your buyer, is you have to pay the £2 plus the postage. So altogether, this must have cost me about £5. But as I bought her other book, the glass and china one, for £6 at the antique store, I thought that fitted within my price range. Of course, we always want to have a really good bargain. So it's called The Comforts at Home, thrifty and chic decorating ideas for you, for making the most of what you have. So it's not always about going out and buying the new stuff, it's about shopping your own home. So this one was £19.99 originally, and again a gorgeous book, and it's very, I must admit, it's quite similar to the one I bought when I went to the charity shops in Manchester, and that was a country living book. And I'm just addicted to books, really. I like reading them like magazines, and quite often with the glossy magazines these days, they can sometimes cost £5-6 or even more if you're buying one of the seasonal magazines. Sometimes they go for sort of £15 or so. I'm not quite sure how much the country living one was I showed you a week or so ago. So a really great read here. And I wanted to show you this beautiful book as well. So when we go away on the caravan, not only do we thrift by day and craft by night, but we also buy each other caravan gifts. So if you've been following me for a while, you know I go out a lot with my friends Lisa and Jan, and we spend money on each other from time to time. We buy birthday presents, Christmas presents, and caravan holiday presents with a budget of £2. So I don't know where Lisa bought this from, but this book gave me so much pleasure flicking through it in the evenings after we'd done our crafting. So it is called The Vintage Table, Personal Treasures and Standout Settings by Jacqueline de Montravel, the editor of Romantic Homes magazines. I think that's a Canadian magazine. So if you are watching in the States or Canada, let me know whether you know the lady, and I can go down another rabbit hole and follow what she other books she may well have written. So it's 35 American dollars or 43 Canadian dollars originally. And this is a gorgeous book, and it's taught me so much. Even, you know, you read books and you think, I know a lot of this stuff anyway. But what struck me, and I haven't marked the page, is the reason why when you do your washing up in hot soapy water and then you rinse the soap suds off, I thought that was purely because you were rinsing the soap suds off. But Jacqueline in her book says it's because when you rinse your hand washed items up, they dry quicker because the hot water that you've rinsed them off in evaporates faster, which is something I've never heard of before. So this, I think I've probably got that far with my bookmark. Gosh, I'm going to keep that in there. That is how far I got with my bookmark. And you can see it's very similar in style to the other books I've got shown you today. But again, an absolutely gorgeous read. So if you're looking for someone, you know, a present for the person that's got everything, if they're interested in homes, gardens, cooking, lifestyle, I do think that any of these books would make an absolutely fabulous, oops, just knocked my tripod there, gift. So what do you say? Let's go thrifting so we can find fabulous things to enjoy for ourselves and treat our friends too. Well, that's all for me for now, but I will be back later, another time, a few days' time, because I wanted to show you some of the crafting projects that we got up to in the caravan. That's all for me for now, and I'll see you again next time.